Testament tells us something very interesting. When the people built the city of Babel, the Towers of Babel called, God confused their language and they could not communicate very well with each other. What the hell happened here? Why would the confusion of languages happen at that point in time? I suggest when they decided to build a city, they moved from being a nomadic society to be a settled society. Now, that's a major, you might call it, technological change, because our language reflects experiences. Nomadic societies have analogies from being nomadic. It's low-lying fruit. You see that? It reflects being nomadic. When they become agricultural, they use different language. Go learn from the ants how to be productive, you lazy man. Right down from the Bible, by the way, it comes out. Lecha l'nemala, that's from the Bible. Learn from the ants how to be productive. Do you see that? That's the analogies. When we build cities, now we have a different language because we have different experiences. If you want to build something, a relationship or a business, you have to start from the foundations. There are no foundations in a nomadic society. Today, we have driven by images from technology, like I'm fading, tone it down, my system is overstressed. You see what we're doing? We're using words from the technology. But we are going beyond that. We are now beyond technological society. We are beyond post-industrial society. We are something totally new now. The digital society. And we are experiencing a new Tower of Babel. We are going through tremendous technological change, creating new phenomena for which we don't have words. And if we use old words that don't reflect the new phenomena, we really get confused with each other. We don't know what we're talking about. Somebody told me, a linguist told me that, I forgot the exact amount, a very serious number of words that we are using today did not exist 30 years ago. So we really don't know what are we saying when we communicate with words. Let me give some examples. I was doing an organizational structure with an electronic company, as a matter of fact. And we looked at the Department of Engineering. So we tried to define what does the department should do so it doesn't clash with other departments. So I asked, what is engineering? Unbelievable. Started a whole big discussion. It's all kind of engineering. You have electrical engineering, you have mechanical engineering, then we have new product engineering, then you have a marketing engineering, then we have a social engineering, we have a production engineering, and then we hit a rock, a big problem. Systems engineering. And some people say it does not exist. Other people, well, it does exist. What does it really do? How different is it? To the point that the system engineer in the room threatened to quit because he felt offended that people don't know what he does and what is in the company and what is the profession. In another example, in a very high-tech company, manufacturing high-tech company, they produce new equipment, high-tech equipment for computers. In order to design something and to say when is it finished, we have to decide what is a module? Because they will take components, sell components or sell modules. At what point in time a module is born? And unless you define the words, you give people instructions and they don't understand what you're talking about. Because modules did not exist in the agricultural society. There was not such a thing. Or we had another problem. They improve on equipment, they improve equipment, which they produce equipment. They improve equipment. At what point in time, the improvement is not just improvement anymore. What emerged here is a new product, a new machine. Like I'm having a problem myself now that I sat down to write a new edition to The Ideal Executive, which is a bestseller worldwide. Not yet in America, but hopefully will be. And as I was rewriting the new edition, I came to the conclusion I made so many changes to the new edition, maybe it's a new book. At what point in time, it's not a new edition anymore, it's a new book. And we have to define it. Otherwise, when I said, I have a new book, what did you mean by the words you use? Here is another acute situation, the word budgeting. People come to the company from different companies, or countries in this case. For one, budgeting is forecasting. For the another one is just allocation of resources. For a third one, it's really statement of the desired and what we are aiming for. Now, how do we develop a budget when the definitions of what a budget is and what does it do is so different? So what does it all mean? We need to define the words we use. And by practice, as an organizational therapist, whenever there is a conflict, I say stop. First, let's define the words we use. Because maybe part of the conflict here is you defined words differently than I. In personal life, it also applies. For your spouse, love means give me a lot of time and a lot of attention. And for you, love means cook for me the best dish possible and be sure to be available to love me when I feel lonely. Different definitions. But we never define what did you mean by the word love? What does love mean to you so I can really fulfill it? Otherwise, I'm fulfilling how I understand the word love, which is not how you understand it, and now we are in conflict. Anytime you have a conflict, stop the discussion. First thing to do is define the words. What do you mean? And it might take a lot of time to do that. It's not so easy. You might evoke a lot of conflict. So some people get annoyed at me and say to me, Dr. Adizes, we hired you to solve our problems, not to teach us English. I don't give up. And I say, guys, let me tell you a story, a joke, whatever. And I choose a country that company, in which country it is, looks on that country down. You know, in America, they have jokes about Polish. In Brazil, they have jokes about the Portuguese. In Serbia, they have about the Albanians. Every country looks at the other somehow with a finger, or Bosnians. So I say, okay, how do you say, let's choose the word Papuan. Let's assume, how do you say in Papuan an aeroplane? What are you pointing at? Is it an aeroplane? Is it a bird? Is it a cloud? What are we talking about? Is another one. It's a little bit of color, but people will not forget it. A guy goes to the doctor and says, Doctor, I want castration. The doctor says, why? You're only 25 years old. Why would you ask for castration? My religious beliefs, that's what I want. He signs him on the release, takes him in, castrates him, take him to the recuperation room. There is another guy lying next to him. So he asks the other guy, what are you here for? He says, for circumcision. That's what I wanted. Are you asking for circumcision or are you asking for castration? We have to define what we mean by the words we use. Increasingly so. I'm now, for instance, stuck with the cryptocurrencies industry and NFTs. I would say, honestly, I don't understand what's going on. 50% of the words have zero meaning for me. I'm not communicating. You have to stop the whole process. You have to define. What do you mean? And by the way, very interesting. It's not just for me. Many people in the room have different definitions of the same word. And they're not communicating and fighting and getting each other's throat. Conclusion. Whenever there is conflict in personal life, in marriage, in a company, even in a country, first thing to do is to define what do we mean by the words we use, because we live in a new Tower of Babylon. Thank you.